Think about opening a restaurant, right? Like, if you open a gourmet burger joint in a neighborhood that already has three of them, you are going from 1 to N.
Yeah, you're just taking something that already exists and, trying to make it maybe 5% better.
Exactly. But going from 0 to 1, I mean, that is inventing a completely new category of dining altogether. You aren't fighting for slices of the existing pie.
Right, you are baking an entirely new dessert.
Spot on. We are unpacking notes on entrepreneur Peter Thiel's book, 0 to 1.
And our mission today is to discover why the most valuable companies in the world, well, they completely ignore the established playbooks.
Yeah, and why everything you have been taught about the value of competition might actually be totally backward. Because, honestly, it requires a fundamental rewiring of how we view success.
It really does. I mean, most businesses operate entirely in that 1 to N space, right? They look at a crowded market and think, oh, I can do this slightly cheaper.
But Thiel's argument is that true progress and, massive value only happens when you move from 0 to 1. You have to create something that literally did not exist yesterday.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, let's unpack this, though, because creating something from absolutely nothing sounds incredibly risky.
Oh, totally risky.
And my immediate reaction is, well, doesn't proving a new market exists just invite massive competition anyway? I mean, every economics class teaches that competition is the ultimate good.
Yeah, that it drives prices down and pushes quality up.
Exactly. So how is avoiding it the actual goal?
Well, for the consumer, sure, competition might be great, but for the business itself, Thiel has this really fascinating view that competition is basically a daily knife fight over penny margins.
Wow, a knife fight.
Yeah, like if you are an airline or a local restaurant, you are fighting so hard just to survive the month, you have zero resources left to actually invent the future.
Ah, I see.
So he argues that the absolute best businesses, think like Google and Search, they escape this trap by building monopolies.
Right, because when you own the market, you generate the breathing room to fund massive long-term innovations. So the goal isn't to win the war. The goal is to just refuse to play the game altogether.
Exactly. You just step off the battlefield.
But practically speaking, if I am a scrappy startup, I can't just declare, hey, I am the new monopoly.
Yeah.
The corporate giants would crush me instantly.
Which is exactly why the playbook requires you to start incredibly small. I mean, you do not try to conquer the world on day one.
Okay, so what do you do instead?
You find a highly specific, totally ignored niche. You become the absolute undisputed champion of that tiny market. And only after you have monopolized it do you expand outward.
Oh, right. That perfectly explains the Amazon case study in the source notes.
Right.
I mean, they didn't launch as the everything store right out of the gate.
Got all.
They targeted a very specific demographic of people buying books online. They organized that single market and dominated it completely before they ever even thought about selling electronics.
Or cloud computing, yeah.
But wait, how do you actually spot those empty, undefended niches in the first place?
Well, you have to look for what Thiel calls secrets.
Secrets.
Yeah, a secret is a profound truth about the world that everyone else is just completely overlooking. He actually frames it with this very uncomfortable interview question.
Oh, I read this part. It's, what important truth do very few people agree with you on?
That is the one. Because if your business idea is something everyone already agrees is smart, well, the market is already crowded.
Right, of course. So you find your secret, you corner your tiny niche, and you start growing. But here is where it gets really interesting regarding the venture capitalists who fund these ideas.
The power law stuff.
Yeah. Looking at the notes, investors aren't satisfied with a solid, profitable, medium-sized business. They demand this massive monopolistic scale because of that power law.
Precisely. Because venture capital is an exceptionally high-risk game,
Yeah.
The mathematical reality is that 90% of the startups they fund will fail and go to zero.
Which is a terrifying statistic.
It is. And because of that extreme failure rate, the single winning company in a portfolio doesn't just need to do well. It has to achieve such massive scale that it pays for all the massive losses of every other failed investment combined.
Wow. Which totally frames why the foundational culture of these 0 to 1 startups is so intense.
Oh, it has to be.
Right. Surviving that brutal journey, building a market out of thin air while avoiding that graveyard of failed startups, it requires a borderline irrational belief in the mission.
It really does. Having a small, hyper-aligned team isn't just a fun startup culture perk. It is a literal survival mechanism to weather the chaos.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, That very specific survival mechanism is what Thiel believes actually moves humanity forward, right?
Exactly. He argues that this engine of small groups of dedicated people relentlessly pursuing these technological monopolies is the primary driver of broader economic growth. Without it, society basically just stagnates.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? The big takeaway from these sources is a total shift in how you evaluate your goals.
Yeah, instead of looking around and asking, how can I do this slightly better than the other guy?
You need to start asking, what highly valuable thing is absolutely nobody else building?
And that raises a really important question to leave on.
Definitely. We have talked all about how businesses thrive by escaping the trap of competition.
Right, so how might you apply that exact same anti-competition mindset to totally reinvent your own career path?
Exactly. If the greatest value comes from being a monopoly of one, well, what is the unique intersection of skills and secrets that only you possess? Stop fighting for inches on the crowded track and go build your own market.